straight, shoulders relaxed, facial muscles very relaxed, eyes closed. Try to keep your tongue up towards the palate. Very softly, and bring your attention towards your breathing. Breathe in and breathe out normally but mindfully. Thank you very much. So our next topic is three debts, teen rin. The Hindu view of ideal worldly life is shaped by the concept of three debts. We must pay these three debts during our life. These are almost like a three mortgages we need to pay. But these mortgages are not, don't take it literally as liability. So there's no sense of liability in it. It really reflects another attempt on the part of the human mind to create awareness of our duties and responsibilities as a human being. Okay, so don't think it's a burden, but it really flowers our personality when we understand our duties and responsibilities. And duties and responsibilities towards whom? The first one is a debt to God. Dev rin. And how we repay this debt? By dedicating our life to the service of God. Service of God means service to all mankind, regardless of caste, color, or creed. Reverence for all forms of life, including plants and animals, and protection of the environment also. So all of this is very much part of this first debt, which is called a Dev Rin. And service of God also includes the practice of non-violence, truthfulness, practice of self-control, purity of thought, and a pleasant and respectful attitude towards others. It's all part of Devrim. It's not just sitting and doing puja alone. And this respect, especially towards the elders. In a Hindu culture, respect and reverence for the elderly is recognized as a partial repayment of this debt to God. That's why the mother is a god, father is a god. Matri Dev, Pitri Dev. So that's why in Taittiriya Upanishad, in the very first chapter, it says that parents and teachers must be treated as gods. This first debt includes service to and reverence for our parents and teachers. So this is Dev Rin is. So it's not just a one day or 1 year. All of our life should be like that. Our actions also and our thoughts also. Our words also should incorporate all of this. The second is Rishi Rin. This is the debt to the sages and the saints who have revealed the truths in the Vedas and other scriptures. And how do we repay this debt? By preserving and enriching the cultural heritage that is handed down through generations. Could be generations of the rishis, generation of the gurus. So to preserve and enrich the cultural heritage, in order to preserve it, what do we need to do? We need to learn it ourselves. We need to practice also whatever we learn. The themes of this Vedic knowledge. So spending time in learning, in reflecting, and in practicing. To accomplish this second goal, we need to preserve these places where this knowledge is coming from. If these places are not preserved, this knowledge will be lost. Whether it's your temple or community places or ashrams or gurudwaras, doesn't matter which organization, wherever you see the preservation of this knowledge is happening, helping those organizations is part of this Rishi Rin. So studying yourself also and helping these organizations also. Participate and organize pilgrimages. Support and coordinate or host religious festivals. Whenever we sponsor some festival like this, we are helping ourselves to pay this debt. Or even when we celebrate the birthdays of the saints and the God incarnates, because that's how we are preserving. Remembering when Lord Ram was born, when Lord Krishna was born. Celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi. Celebrating all of these great saints and all the God incarnates birthdays or special days is part of this paying this debt. The enthusiasm we show in participating and celebrating our birthdays, our anniversaries, our children's, more than that, it should be in celebrations of these great saints and the gods' special days. All these saints and sages. So we all need to help to organize religious conferences, seminars, discussions, debates, wherever we go. More focus on that. It could be it all depends what kind of a aptitude we have. Some people like to go to the library and organize this. Some people can do it in the temples. Everybody doesn't need to do the same way. But doing something like this, that's how we are helping to pay this Rishi Rin. Because these activities help to expound the teachings of the scriptures. See, idea is to keep these scriptures alive. The teaching or the message of these scriptures alive, whichever way. Because these rishis are the one who gave us these scriptures. So teaching of the scriptures and to illustrate how the spiritual wisdom of the Hindu sages and the saints can be utilized to solve our own problems. Because they have given us the solution. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, it has the solution of any problem we have in our life. But in order to get the answer, we need to understand Bhagavad Gita. In Ramayana also, there's a solution to every problem. But first we got to study it, dissect it, understand it, and then use this wisdom. So when we live a life like this, we are donating some of our money, some of our time to keep this kind of a culture alive. We are paying our debt without thinking about what will I get in return. Just doing it because it's my duty to do it. It's my responsibility to do it. And the third debt is towards our ancestors, which is called Pitririn. We are all expected to pay during our life the debt we have. It's not that they did anything to put a liability on us. No, it's out of our own thankfulness we do it. If our parents are alive, serving the parents. After they are gone, if you want to adopt some other parents in the senior citizen home, adopt those. And then make sure that the future generations, they know also what those ancestors did for us. Pitririn. So the repayment of this debt includes raising our family in accordance with the moral and ethical principles of our ancestors. Proper education is essential for success in raising a family. Adequate education of our children in religion and arts and sciences is a very major part of this. And this custom of Shrad, according to the Hindu culture, falls in this category, Pitririn. You all know that every year there are 15 days around this time. It is according to the lunar calendar. That's why the dates change. But it's for 15 days. Started yesterday and it will go on until the middle of September. So this year, 17th of September. Then the question comes, which day we should do it and what should we do it during Sharad? There are a lot of complicated rituals which have been created by the Pandits also. If you want to follow those, that's fine. But what I do personally, because some Pandits, they'll say that girls don't have to do it. Only the boys in the family got to do it. What about if there's no boy in the family? Then no Shraddh. It's not a favor we are doing it to our ancestors. It's a duty which we are performing for ourselves. So girls have the equal responsibility as the boys do. That's how I think. My mother kept me in her womb for 9 months too. She went through the labor also. My forefathers also, they worked hard for the continuation of this family. So I need to say thank you to them. In a very simple way, according to these 15 days, I choose one day. I call my children and the grandchildren and talk about my ancestors as much as I know, both sides, parental and maternal. And then it can go further, like my maternal and paternal, and my husband's maternal and paternal. And then whatever we remember, the names we remember. Let the new generation know what they did, how they lived, what their values were, how they struggled, how they were giving and forgiving, the qualities we need to discuss. Personally, what I do, I cook my parents and my in-laws' favorite food that day and let kids know, let them enjoy. And then another thing I do is just donate. Daan is part of it. Because no matter how rich our ancestors were, they could never take anything with them. So we need to incorporate that in our life right now, detachment. And when we give without expecting anything in back, we are creating that vairagya in us. So now the children, they are also earning. So I tell them also, donate wherever you want to donate. But donation, the daan has to be part of this. In India, in old times, food was scarce. So they will invite people and feed people. That was okay at that time. These days, everybody has plenty to eat. So I don't see any point in making the puris and the halwas and the kheer and all that fattening food and feeding the people who are already fat or well fed. So you can just choose the way you want to do it, but the essence is thanking the ancestors for the life which we have. Because of their hard work, because of their blessings, we are here. In old times, they used to find the birds outside, the crows, and feed them. We cannot find them anymore. So I don't try to do that. Some of these rituals, we got to use our own intellect right now. If you really want to help the animals, donate it to the animal shelter, the zoo. God has given us the intellect to use and to just make sure that we pay this debt properly. Okay, so that is a Shraddh. Shraddh is not a sad time, it's a beautiful time. And bringing God in there, doing a little havan or doing the arti or doing your part, whichever faith you belong to, just bring a little godly element into the rituals. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, whenever you give, what do? You recite that mantra, Om Tat Sat. So whether you give it to the animal shelter or to the zoo or to the temple or to any other place you give or some university you donate, wherever your ancestors, like my own father, he was a Sanskrit scholar. While he was alive in the human body, he always liked to give it to the Sanskrit university because he wanted to propagate this ancient language. In Hoshiarpur, there is a college which is called a Sadhu Ashram. They call it an ashram, but it's a college, Sadhu Ashram. They give the degrees, they give PhDs also over there. So he would always give money over there during this time. Otherwise also for his birthday, for kids' birthdays, he'll always donate over there. Another place he liked to give was Gaushala, the cows. In a Hindu culture, Gau is a Mata. We got to keep that alive also, no matter where we live. So you can think about your ancestors, what were their feelings, what were their likings. Based upon that, definitely do something and make sure you tell the next generations also. Don't keep it to yourself. This knowledge should not die with us. We got to definitely keep it alive because this is the one which is so pure, this kind of a knowledge, which brings us all together, which really gives us good values, good principles. So Shraddh is a beautiful time of the year. Don't get too fixated on the dates. Like I got to do it on this tithi, that tithi. No, just choose one day which is convenient for the children to come. Convenient for you also to do. And don't think that you are a female because most of the students in this class is female. Don't think, no, females have equal responsibility. In old times, females, they were dependent upon the husbands or the brothers or the fathers. These days, we are more independent, financially also, physically also, every which way. So we should not shirk our duty. We should not shirk our responsibility towards this at all. Okay, so this is 3 debts. Any question on this before I move on to the next one? Because there are Panch Yagya also, which are called Maha Yagya, we need to do. And they are basically on daily basis. If you don't have a question, I can just give you the names of those Panch Maha Yagya. So you got these 3 names, right? What was the first one? Devrin, Rishirin, and Pitririn. Rin means the debt. Remember that. And I gave you more elaboration on that, so you understand what you are supposed to do.
What is Kanjaks? Are they part of the Sharads? No, Kanjak.
No. Kanjak is not. Kanjak is part of Navratri. When Navratri come, I'll talk about that. Navratri is altogether different. Okay. Yeah. No, Kanjak is not part of Shrad. So after Shrad, Navratri will come. After the Navratri, the 9th day of Navratri, Kanjak comes. So I'll definitely talk about that too. Okay. All right. Panch Mahayagya. Why don't you write down the names first? Mahayagya. Maha means great. Yagya means sacrifice. And in order to do the sacrifice, what do we need to do? Something has to happen inside. Right? We give away what we think that we were ours. It could be time, it could be energy, it could be food, it could be money. Anything. We need to part from it. Only then it becomes yagya, and the God's name has to be part of it too. Remembering God. Om Tat Sat. First Mahayagya is the Brahm Yagya. Brahm Yagya means, let me give you the names first. Brahm Yagya, Pitri Yagya, Dev Yagya, Bhut Yagya, and Nar Yagya. These are the Panch Mahayagya. And you see that there's an overlap between this and that's also.
Hersh, can you please repeat the name one more time?
Yeah. Brahm Yagya, Pitri Yagya. By doing the Pitri Yagya, we pay the Pitri debt, right? Dev Yagya, Bhut Yagya, and Nar Yagya. I'm sure when you got married, your priest told you about this. But maybe you don't remember it right now. So that's why I'm telling you. Okay? So, Brahm Yagya. So this practice is intended to refresh our mind with the sacred knowledge which we acquired during our Brahmacharya ashram when we were students. So this Brahm Yagya is a everyday studying to refresh that knowledge. Brahm Yagya. So preserve and enrich yourself. Brahm Yagya. Okay? That knowledge is what? God is everywhere. God is one. There's no place where God is not. Remembering that, more and more is Brahma Yagya. Pitri Yagya, daily remembrance of our forefathers. Sure, during Shrad we do a little bit more. But daily remembrance, thanking the parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. So this Pitri Yagya intention is to remind us our duty to preserve, enrich, and continue the cultural heritage. Okay? And the third one is Dev Yagya, daily prayers, meditation. And fourth one is Bhut Yagya. Bhut Yagya is a spirit of sharing with all the Bhut Pranis, animals, plants. We cannot exist in isolation without the help of other human beings, animals, plants. So importance of preservation of the environment. Bhut Yagya and Nar Yagya. This is the fifth one. Serve the guests. Anybody who comes to your house, see God in that. You never know what kind of a disguise God has come into your house. You have heard the stories that God came as a sick dog in front of you, and you did not take care of it. Or a bird who had the broken body, but we did not pay attention. Okay, so Nar Yagya. This is the fifth Yagya. Basis for this is traditional hospitality of a Hindu household. I'm sure our generation, no matter what time anybody comes to our house, first thing, what do? Offer them seat, then offer them water. Then whether it's a food time or not, we always say we offer food. That has been, we have been trained with this. So we got to make sure that our children have this training too, if we want this culture to be alive. So this Panch Maha Yagya. So they are directly, see the reason I am talking about the 3 Rin also and Panch Yagya also, they say the same thing basically. But in order to understand it fully and then practice it daily, that's up to us. Got it? So anybody else, any question? Because this is all I wanted to tell you today about this. And then in next 10-15 minutes, I'll talk about the Tratak.
Surekha has
No
a
question.
Surekha.
Who has a question?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you.
Who wanted
Thank
to
you,
thank me?
Hershey.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arji.
You're not leaving, right? Normally you thank me after the end of the class, but you're thanking me
No,
in the
no, no,
middle.
no. You made us know about the Pitra Yagya.
Yeah, Pitri Yagya. Pitri Yagya, they're all very important.
That's right.
You
Yeah.
will see that if you start following one, you will like to do the others also, because it gives you a fulfillment, a special kind of a peacefulness, a pleasure, a purpose in life. Otherwise, life becomes pretty mundane. No purpose. No, there's definitely a purpose. And we want to leave good footprints behind. And right now also we want to remember the footprints which we are walking on. We want to walk on the good footprints so that those footprints take us towards the higher level. And we want to leave good footprints for our future generations also, so they are encouraged to walk on that too. Move away from the Maya. Detach from the Maya while living in the Maya. This is the skill we need to learn. We don't want to get drowned in the Maya. We have to learn how to swim in the Maya, but keep on rising our level up and up. Okay, so Jyoti, any question?
Hershey, Nishta had a question.
Yes, Nishtha.
Unmute yourself.
Anji, good morning, everyone. I wanted to find out, and I'm sorry, मैंने थोड़ा late join करा, but I was under the impression this pitra का जो यज्ञ होता है for श्राद्ध, does that imply that it's for your father or your मतलब that particular lineage or?
No. Pitra means all your ancestors. So you don't have to do it just for one person or one time, just in the general, all our ancestors. You have even, the science will tell you, the genetics will tell you, you have the genes of the 7 previous ancestors. So be thankful to them. You don't know whose nose you got, whose eyes you got, whose
So
blood type you got.
So it's actually 16 days, right? I was looking it up. So it's
It is a 15 or 16 days. Every
Thank you.
year it changes. It's just like a decided on the lunar calendar. But you
Huh.
don't have to do it all 16 days. Choose one day.
Acha, okay.
Choose one day and get your family members together, especially the children. You are young, so I don't know how old your children are. But children, grandchildren, that's basically what I do. I just get my family members, my current family members together, and I talk about my whatever I remember, and my husband does from his side, and we just talk about it, the childhood stories, and the pictures, whatever we have of our grandparents, great grandparents. I just show it to them and tell them.
Okay, wonderful. Very, very lovely.
To me, I think it is a thanking them and being grateful to them for the life which we have, especially us people in this country. I mean, I don't know, Nishtha, maybe you were born here, but we came from India as an immigrant. So the first generation immigrants, what kind of a hardship we went through? What kind of a hardship our parents went through to send us over here? Monetary also, or during the partition time, what kind of a hardship? But still they stayed truthful to their values. We got to inculcate that into our children and grandchildren. If we don't tell them, who will tell them? Otherwise, they'll get the information from outside. And outside information cannot be as accurate as our own information. Okay,
Very lovely.
so
Thank
it's
you.
very important, and to me, I think the main thing I want to tell you that it is important for the females also, as much as for the males also. And make sure you tell the beautiful stories. Just keep the picture as close to the truth as you can. Okay, and some of the flaws in our parents or the grandparents, keep them out, please. Because sometimes the flaws we see, they may not be flaws. Judgments, keep them out. Because they are only judgments. Talk about the generosity they had, the love for God they had, hard work they did. Do you remember your mothers? I'm sure most of your mothers, the simple kitchen, few ingredients, always happy face, cooked whatever we wanted, and they ate the small amount at the end, whatever was left over. That is a mother. And always prayed for us. They kept praying for us and our children. My own mother, she came from a rich family, but in that kind of a rich family, the girls didn't go to school. She made sure that my daughters get the best education. Mother. Yes, I think Jyotika has a comment.
Yeah, the fifth one you were talking about it. It's like in our it says Atithi Devo Bhava.
Yeah, Atithi Devo
Right?
Bhav, that's right. So yeah, exactly.
I just wanted
Atithi
to
Devo
mention
Bhav.
that every
So
time.
there's a guard in the guest also. Yeah. Instead of thinking that, gosh, why did they come? It is my time to take rest. No,
Right.
it is a yagya when you go out of your comfort zone. Otherwise, it's not a yagya.
Correct. Yeah. So I always think about that. Anyone
Yeah,
who is
exactly. I know you do, Jyotika. So it's just like, hey, we got to go out of our comfort zone. Then it's a sacrifice. Otherwise, it's not a sacrifice. Yagya really means sacrifice.
Yes.
Sacrificing your own pleasure, your own off time, your own money, your own energy,
Right.
your own time.
On time.
Just helping others.
Correct. Thank you.
That is yagya. We got to keep that in mind. Okay. So anybody else? I
Asmita
know you knew all of it,
has a question.
but I just want you to put it into the context where it's more practical for you. Yes, Jyoti.
Asmita had a question. Asmita?
I have a question.
Yes,
Like with
yes.
this, with the Shraddha days, if you cannot somehow do it during those days, is it okay to do like any other time?
Of course, any time. But you know, when we do it during these times, then we remember it every year to do it. Otherwise, what happens? We keep on postponing. See, it's almost like a meditation. I always say, do it in the morning. Right? If you do it in the morning, rest of the day goes fine. Right? So, but otherwise, if you, for some reason, you cannot do it, but you can do it any other day.
So
Any
like
day is fine. Yes.
Okay. My son is out of state, so I would think if I go there, then it would like in person.
No, it's okay. Whenever he comes, do it.
Okay.
Zoom.
Zoom.
I know.
Yeah, that is true too. On Zoom, you can do it. Otherwise, when he comes, that's fine too. Yeah,
okay.
No problem. But doing it once a year is very, very important.
Okay.
Okay. So
thank you.
So just create your own practical rituals. Don't stick to that. I know certain people, the previous generations, they like to do their way, which is okay. But our generation, we are doing a lot of things different ways. So why not this too? Which is more doable, which is more understandable by us. Okay. Normally there's like a puja, then there's a feeding the people or giving away some money, the dan, to certain place, and talking about your ancestors to the next generation. Okay. Yes, Urmil, you had a question?
Yeah. What I was going to do is I have an WhatsApp with all my Nana side of cousins and mamas and masis and everybody. So I am going to propose my mama and mamis who know more about my Nana. He died very early, so we don't know much about him. So they should all initiate talking about my Nana, one person at a time on Zoom.
Yeah, you can just create your own family. These days we
WhatsApp.
have this. Yeah, in your own family you can
because
create
a younger generation don't even know anything about
so
it.
Idea is that next generation knows that there is something like Shraddha and why we do it, how we do it, when to do it. Okay, so just make sure that this stays alive. If we make it too complicated, that we have to wait for the crows to come and eat the rice balls, then our next generation will laugh at it and they won't do it. And it doesn't even make any sense. Okay.
Harshit, Namaste Manju.
Namaste Manju, yes.
Did you say twice a year?
No. Twice a year is Kanjka.
Achha.
That Navaratri. Navaratri is not twice a year. This is only once a year for 2 weeks. So during the 2 weeks, just find a day which works for you guys. Okay, for the family. I mean, I know most of us are retired, we can do it, but make sure that the kids are available so that we can pass it on to the next generation. Okay,
thank you.
And if you can invite your family priest, that's fine. But otherwise, if you want to do it yourself, that's fine too. So to me, I think the simpler the ritual, the better it is.
Yeah.
Only then our next generation will continue this, otherwise they will not. Okay, simpler the ritual. Okay.
Archie,
thank you.
Archie,
Yes.
I have a question. If we try to continue with this new generation, if they seem disinterested, what do you do?
You do it at least with a full enthusiasm, and they should participate, and hopefully they'll remember after we are gone. Okay, we should not say that they don't want it, I don't want to do it. Do it for yourself. And let me tell you, a lot of people think that we are doing a favor to the ancestors. Whatever we give, it's going to them. We are doing a favor to ourselves. We are detaching from it. We are purifying ourselves. We are calming ourselves. This is a favor we are doing it to ourselves, not to the ancestors. Ancestors, they did their karmas and they are enjoying those karmas. We are doing it for ourselves because it's our duty to do it. Okay? Because a lot of people, they think the priest sometimes, they just bring fear in people's mind that ancestor will come, they'll eat. If they don't come and eat, that means they are mad at you. No, nothing like that. No ritual should be done with a fear in the mind. Ritual should be done with a love for rituals and love for God and love for ancestors. We are definitely connected at a deeper level, at this soul level. So that's why you got to do it peacefully, lovingly, skillfully, faithfully. Do it that way, then you are getting the benefit of it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Anybody else?
Well, that was my question too. This new generation does not willing to participate.
Don't worry. You do it when they see the calmness in you, when you don't put too many burdens on them. We got to know our own children, what really works for them. Sometimes we have to use the shamaniti, sometimes the daniti, sometimes the kutniti, sometimes dandaniti. Whatever niti we use, we got to learn at this age to bring those kids of ours close to us, close to these cultural values. If we don't know those niti means the skillfulness. Why do you think this granddaughter of mine called me in the morning to do the arti? For the last 3 years, she is 3.5. Last 3 years, every time they do arti, I give them something. That's a dan niti. Because little children, they are always, there's a little greed in them. Give them a little candy. Give them a stuffed animal. Encourage this little habit in their mind that it's good to pray. Even when a bagel fell down, she wanted the prayers. Otherwise, she was hurting. But the dan niti helped. When your grandchildren come to your house, if they're still little, bring them to the temple area. The minute they bow down, give them maybe a single M&M. That's what I used to give them. This dan niti, it works with us also, doesn't it? Whoever gives us, we just love them. So why wouldn't it work with the little kids? So if your children are not listening, look within why they are not. Where did you go wrong? Because definitely you went wrong somewhere. Maybe we didn't explain it properly. Maybe the energy wasn't proper. Maybe too complicated of rituals. At this age, we should know what to do and what not to do. But the idea is behind these 3 Rin and Panch Maha Yagya to keep these cultural values alive. That is our duty. If these cultural values go away after we are gone, we have failed, guys, miserably. No matter how much money we earned, how many buildings we have, how much we ate, how much we traveled, that was all a failure. Nothing gonna go with us. Okay? So just to make sure that you just think it deeply. There is still time to incorporate all this, at least a little bit. Little bit.
I think Jyoti Desai has something to say. Jyoti, Ben?
Yeah.
Yes, Jyoti.
So Hershji, I do this every year, and all my family members, they always come and we get together one day. Usually I do the Sarva Pitri the last day. Good. But this time, you know, it is over the weekend. Weekend is only when we can get together and we eat. Yeah. I used to do that. Everyone loves that kheer and everybody, we talk about the parents. But I did learn more this time. So I think I will talk more about all the Panch Maha Yagna.
Yeah, Panchmaha Yagya, give them some information, some knowledge. It's very important to pass on this knowledge to the next generation. But I'm glad you are doing it. Yes,
Yes.
very proud of you, Jyoti. Because to me, I think the females can do much better than males can. Because ghar kiska hota hai? Ghar wale ka. And we got to do it for our parents' side also, and our in-law side also. Got to keep a good balance between these two families. कहते हैं औरत दो कुल तारती है, दो कुल, parents का भी ससुराल का भी. That's the kind of a power God has given it to a female. We are very, very powerful. Don't underestimate your power. But the more power we have, the more careful we got to be too. Right? The bigger the dynamite, more careful you better be. And we are like dynamites. We can create a heaven in our household, or we can create the lowest of the hell also. So make sure that we use this power properly. So Jyoti ji, I'm very, very thankful and grateful that you are doing it. Yes, and everybody else should do it too. Okay, please.
No, I lived with my mother-in-law, and she always made us do it.
Yeah, so see, look at
all
that.
Yes.
Mother-in-law, she lived with her, and mother-in-law taught her. Because when we got married, we were not that old. Our mothers could teach us only so much. But if we are fortunate enough that our mother-in-law is with us, that is a great thing. That's how we learn. Learn from our previous generations. And now we are mother-in-laws, so we should definitely teach our next generation too. Okay? So today there's no time for Taratak, but I'm glad you guys enjoyed it because to me, I think we all need some kind of a direction in our life. So these rishis, these saints, they have given us a good guidelines, beautiful guidelines so that we can live peacefully, calmly, and fruitfully, purposefully, right? So that's how I see these yagyas. That's how I see these rains. So that's why I said it's not a liability. It's not at all. It's just to flower our personality to the utmost level. Okay? So anybody else?
Questions? Prem.
Who has a question? Prem? Okay, Prem.
If we donate to not-for-profit organizations, or is it essential to donate it to temples and?
No, there's nothing essential. Make sure that donation goes to
proper.
Where it's not being misused.
Exactly.
For a personal, somebody's personal benefit. That's why a couple of weeks ago I told you, do not give the money to me. That is wrong from every angle. Personally, I should be able to take care of my finances. If I cannot afford a computer, I shouldn't have a computer. If I cannot afford a luxury car, I should not have a luxury car. So make sure you donate at the proper place where the money is not being used personally. For one person's benefit, one person's, because then we are helping that person to become greedy.
Exactly, exactly.
Then you are party to it.
Harshji, I have a.
It doesn't have to be a religious or a temple place.
No, that's why I said it could be a church, it could be a gurdwara, it could be a temple, it could be ashram, it could be a zoo, or any other society, any other program where the society is getting help unconditionally.
Where they're helping the hungry and...
Anywhere, whatever you choose, does not matter, but make sure that you just do a little... before giving, we should definitely do some investigation But after giving, we should detach.
Yes.
We should not have our name put in over there.
Yes.
Then we are not detached. We should not put condition on our giving that I'm giving you, do this with that money. We should totally detach from it. Before giving, definitely investigate. Okay, that's what my take is on this. That's how I understand the scriptures. Pretty soon we'll talk about Dan also one of these days, because there could be a Satvik Dan, Rajasik Dan, Tamsik Dan. I'll talk about that too. Yes, I think Poonam has a question.
Yeah, no, I just thought about it. We constantly these days think about humanitarian kind of things, like, give to the help of dogs and this shelter and this hungry people. But then we will never end up getting rid of our Rishi Rin, because that's where, if we don't give to the temples once in a while, then that means our Rishi Rin will get stuck on our head for the rest of our life.
Yeah.
That's what
No, that's why.
Because I also personally would like to give where we know, they are helping with food and all that. But over the years, I have come to realize that if we don't ever go the route of where, our religion maybe springs from, then we know there's corruption and all kind of stuff, but they also need to run. And then you just talked about Rishi Rin, and I'm thinking, if we never give to the temples, how we get rid of our Rishi Rin?
Yeah, no, definitely. Wherever, that's why I mentioned in my detailed explanation, wherever you see the propagation of this Vedic culture, that's how we are paying back our Rishi Rin.
I know.
We got to look at it. Who is propagating in the true sense this Vedic knowledge? That's what our duty is. Because if this knowledge is gone, just like Poonam said, then we wouldn't even know how to take care of the animals and the plants and the environment. These rishis are the one who taught us. There's a life in everything. Life in the plant, life in the bug. That all comes from the Rishi-krit scriptures.
So you have to balance it, right, Harishji?
Well, everybody got a different way of balancing it. So whatever you want to balance, that's fine. That's a freedom you have. Maybe for one person, balance is 100% at one place. For another person, balance is 10. For another person, it's 50-50. So you create your own balance. There's
right within.
Yeah. Okay. So it's all individual. We have the freedom, but ultimately we have to pay these debts, and we got to do these yagyas. If we don't do it, we'll feel unfulfilled.
Thank you.
Okay. So Jyoti, I think we're gonna do Tratak next time. So next time I will start with the Tratak. Let me show you the book which I used, Poonam, for Tratak. I was researching. This is the thickness of the book.
Show the title.
Gherand Samhita. So I'm going to talk about next week. I'm so excited.
Can I see it? Can I see it too? I'm sorry.
It's going to cost too much.
Good.
It looks like we might end up spending a year on that one day.
No, Tratak is one of the chapter in there.
Okay.
But I'll talk about other things also, because I was looking at it last night. I said, wow, this is Rishi Rin. When I study something like this, believe it or not, Poonam, after you said Tratak, the next day, I just happened to listen to my Guruji's tape. He was talking about Tratak.
Right.
Because I choose it at random. He was talking about Tratak and he recited a verse in it. Then I started researching, where did that verse come from? Then I found out it's from Gherand Samhita. Wow. Then I looked for this book. And then I said, yes, I got to talk about it. Such a beautiful way Tratak has been explained, first by my Guruji, and then I looked into this great scripture. So if I don't share it with you, I'm not paying the Rishi Rin properly. So that's why I was so excited. But then Jyoti called me. Jyoti said that Shrad. So I said, okay, with the Shrad, I got to talk about these Rins and the Yagya.
We can wait for Tratak, no problem.
You can wait next week, right?
Actually, Poonam Bhatia has a question.
Yes, Poonam Bhatia.
Hi, Masi. I just had a I just had a
These are
comment
Poonams.
about.
Both the Poonams are very smart Poonams, huh? Poonam name. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
no, I
means we
just
are not.
Yeah, you are too. No. Manju side too.
नहीं, मजाक कर रहे हैं.
I know.
yeah.
Yes,
It's okay.
Poonam.
She's my Masi. Masi can be little biased for me.
But she's our very long good friend. Okay.
Hey, I've known her longer.
Okay, Poonam.
Yeah, well, I just have a general statement because you know how some people were saying about the younger generation not participating and all that stuff. So I just have a comment like with my kids, I have 3 boys, people who don't know, they're 19, 15 and 9. And you know, every time they have their birthdays, I do, I'll make halwa or something, or have it, you know, if they don't want to eat halwa, I'll have chocolate or something and do aarti and all that stuff. And then they always whined. Oh, and we eat non-veg. So that day I'm like, okay, I did the aarti, so nobody's eating any non-veg. And they would always complain when they were little. But I'm like, sorry, this is how it has to be. So now my older one turned 19 on August 13th, and he's in US on campus. And you know, he was with his friends. So I told him, I'm like, Kunal, you know, Mama made halwa, and I took a picture of the mandir and I sent it to him. And I didn't tell him anything. I'm like, okay, I didn't want to like, you know, give him orders from Dublin. So I just let it be. And then later he called me himself. He's like, hey mom, since you did aarti and halwa, I didn't go out with my friends and eat any meat today. So I was so happy that, you know, it kind of sunk into him over all these years, even though they used to whine about it every time I, you know, wanted them to follow it.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
does
that is
sink
true.
into these kids, even if they complain and whine.
Yeah,
As they
keep
get
doing
older,
it.
it comes back to them.
Yeah, it does. And then you got to just, every child got their own swabhav, as they say. So just a mother knows. Pay a little attention, just like Poonam said. She did all this. So now she is seeing the effect of that. So this is mother's job. Mother's job is not just to give birth to the children. Mother's job is, mother is the first guru. So as a guru, we have to stay alert all their life, during their downtime and during their uptime also. Okay, so that's good, Poonam. I'm proud of you.
One last question, Hersh. Niru.
Who has a question? Who?
Niru.
Oh, Niru. Okay, all right, Niru.
Got to unmute yourself.
Where is Niru? Okay, Niru, go ahead.
Hershey, मेरा question answer हो गया.
Okay, answer. Okay, good. So, but next week we'll definitely talk about. We'll start the class with the meditation again, and see, meditation का क्या होता है? The class gets a little shortened. Like today, we could not. So that's why we stopped doing meditation. But if you really want to, we can continue doing it. It's your class. You decide. So if you want to have more information, then you can do your own. Technically, you should be doing your meditation every morning on your own. I do not recommend group meditations as such. That's why these classes, we start meditation when we stop, because it's a personal thing. Some people like to do an hour meditation, some people 45 minutes, some 10 minutes. Okay, so we'll see how it goes. But some of you really wanted the meditation, the class, that's why we did it today. But Tratak will be talked about it next week. Okay, and some other things also.
हर्षी जो बुक आपने दिखाई अभी इंटरनेट पे संहिता वो अवेलेबल है Amazon पे.
Okay, all right. If anybody wants to get it, get your own book. But this is a thick book. I don't know whether you will study it or not. So it's up to you. If you're really a reader, get it. Otherwise, I'll just go over a few of the things, not everything. I'm not going to teach this book, but I will. I was just mentioning it to you. That's where I got the information, detailed information.
I have a green Sainta, smaller book, like this thick.
Yeah, that has only the verses then. This one has lot of information, lot of verses and plus translation and then elaboration, and so, okay. So anybody else, any question? So Jyoti, you can unmute everybody.